Hi, my name is Kristen Thomas, and I'm going to talk a bit about a reading program currently used at our school and how it relates to how the brain works. In our text, Sosa believes by far that reading is the toughest thing our brain has to accomplish. It's apparently not an innate thing and doesn't come naturally like most learning does, and there's not a special part of the brain that's tasked with the reading learning. The years that children spend learning to talk set up this language network in the brain, and when we start teaching young children to read, the network is kind of messed up while they're trying to comprehend how the letters of the alphabet and all the many sounds and the exceptions all relate to what they already know about language. There are some key components in the brain that help in developing reading skills successfully. Specifically, there are 3 neural systems that are used for successful reading to occur. The first is the occipital lobe, where visual processing takes place. Students are going to look over their text, scan over it, and the visual signals are sent to the visual cortex. From there, the words are sent to the angular gyrus, where words are broken into small parts called phonemes. Next, language areas are activated in the temporal lobe, and auditory processing takes place. This system helps the student to sound out basic sounds. Finally, Broca's and Wernicke's areas help to define words using what we know as the mental dictionary, and the frontal lobes help students to find meaning in what they're reading. I am focusing on the Spalding method because it's what our primary grades use at our school, and I hear extremely great things about it. I don't have background with it simply because right now and for the past 5+ years, I've been out of the regular classroom and teach math. So I'm kind of detached from reading instruction. However, after doing some research on the program and talking with the teachers at our school, it seems that Spalding method is research-based, it has a good sequential order, uses multisensory engaging lessons and strategies, teaches phonetic knowledge, and focuses on quality literature and building comprehension skills. And all of these things seem to align with what research says about reading in the brain. So the Spalding method was first shared when Mrs. Spalding published her book, The Writing Road to Reading, in 1957. In this book, she introduced her method of basic reading instruction. In the 70s and 80s, she trained teachers in her reading method to train other teachers. In the 90s, instructor seminars were held overseas, and it became an international thing. There was a period of time when we moved away from Spalding method and basic reading instruction and went to a more whole language classroom, but presently the Spalding method is still used in classrooms. So to begin with, students have to have this knowledge that words are created with phonemes, which can be moved around and manipulated to make new words, and this is called phonemic awareness and is the first step to reading. So acknowledging that spoken language is made up of phonemes and can be translated to written symbols known as letters in text is the second step. In our kindergarten classrooms, teachers model phonograms and students mimic them, and at this time students are also learning the letter names, the letter sounds, how to form those letters in upper and lower case. And then once the 26 alphabet letter names and sounds are mastered, students are introduced to putting sounds together to make and read words. They also have to learn that there are more sounds than there are letters. They are taught that words are made up of phonograms and are put together and learn strategies to help them sound out words and hear each phonogram. During small group reading time, strategies are taught to these students that are helpful in reading words. A big part of the learning in our kindergarten is sight words. Every week, students are introduced to a new list of sight words, and they review daily how to sound them out, how to spell them, and how to write them. When students have learned their weekly sight words, they practice picking out those words in the text. So by using their reading strategies learned in small groups and picking out sight words in their text, students begin to gain confidence and can read more challenging text. Also vital to reading is vocabulary recognition. Usually this means students will recognize a word in their text if it's presently in their mental dictionary. So many words are picked up through their own experience through a normal day with conversations with their parents and their peers and their teachers. Sometimes the best way to learn more difficult words is through direct instruction, because obviously those will not be words they come into contact with in their normal conversations. The last 2 most important parts of reading are fluency and comprehension. The National Reading Panel states that the best approach to reading instruction must incorporate explicit instruction in phonemic awareness, systematic phonics instruction, methods to improve fluency, and ways to enhance comprehension. The Spalding method seems to line up with the NRP's findings of the key essential instructional components of effective reading programs. And comparing it to what we've learned about how the brain works, it also seems like sound instruction for students learning to read. Our primary teachers believe in the program and enjoy the multisensory engaging lessons. Therefore, I believe this method seems like a good program to implement in the classroom for students learning to read.